Benny was a little white bunny with a heart full of adventure. Every sunny day, he bounded around the colorful meadow, nibbling sweet clovers and sniffing blossoming flowers. He loved playing hide and seek with butterflies and chasing the shades that the clouds cast on the grass. The meadow was Benny's favorite place in the whole wide world. However, amidst all the fun and laughter, there was one spot in the meadow that made Benny stop in his tracks, an old, moss-covered log that lay in the middle of his playground. The other bunnies could skip over it without a second thought, but whenever Benny approached the log, his heart would thump and his paws would freeze. "Come on, Benny. It's just a hop," his friend Lucy would cheer him on, easily leaping over the log. But Benny would only shake his head. "What if I fall?" he worried. "What if I can't make it across?" One day, as the golden sun painted the sky pink, Benny sat by the log, feeling both determined and frightened. Just then Mr. Owl, the wisest animal in the meadow, noticed Benny's troubled face. "What's on your mind, young Benny?" hooted Mr. Owl gently. "Oh, Mr. Owl," Benny sighed. "I'm too scared to jump over the log. What if I fall and hurt myself?" With a twinkle in his wise, old eyes, Mr. Owl perched closer. "The log isn't as big as it seems," he said. "Sometimes, when we look at something we're afraid of, it appears larger than it really is. But if you take a deep breath and focus, you'll find that your courage is bigger than your fear." That evening, Benny took Mr. Owl's advice to heart. He took a deep breath, focused on the other side of the log, and without realizing it, his feet had leapt from the ground. Suddenly, Benny was on the other side, his fear left far behind. "I did it! I really did it!" Benny squealed with joy, hopping excitedly around Mr. Owl. From that day on, Benny was no longer just a playful bunny in the meadow. He was the brave bunny who conquered his big fear, proving to himself that he could do more than he ever imagined. Once upon a time, in a lush, green forest, there lived a timid young rabbit named Benny. Benny was well liked by all his forest friends, but he had one little problem. Benny was very, very shy and often doubted his abilities. He longed to join the other animals in their playground games, but he always hesitated. One sunny afternoon, while the forest was alive with the sound of chirping birds and rustling leaves, Benny sat on the sidelines watching his friends. His two best pals, Daisy the lively squirrel and Max, a cheerful little bird, were playing catch with a shiny red ball. They noticed Benny sitting alone and called out to him. "Don't just sit there, Benny. Come join us," chirped Max, fluttering over. "Yeah, we can teach you how to play," said Daisy excitedly, her bushy tail flicking with enthusiasm. Benny bit his lip nervously. "I don't know. What if I mess up?" he replied, shrinking back under a leafy shade. Daisy scampered closer and sat beside him, handing him an acorn for comfort. "Come on, Benny," she said softly. "Everyone makes mistakes sometimes, and it's okay. We'll help you." Max swooped down, perched on Benny's shoulder, and chirped cheerfully. "Yeah, you can do it, Benny. Just try. It's fun to learn new things with friends." Benny looked at his two friends, their eyes full of encouragement and warmth. He took a deep breath, stood up, and slowly hopped towards the playground. Initially hesitant, Benny's first attempts were awkward and clumsy. But with Daisy's patient demonstration and Max's animated cheers, Benny began to improve. His movements became more confident, and soon he was hopping around with a bright smile on his little face. Before long, he was chasing after the ball along with Daisy and Max, his earlier fears forgotten amidst the laughter and joy of playing together. For the first time, Benny realized that he could indeed do it. It felt really good to try. From that day on, Benny joined his friends every afternoon. He learned that trying new things wasn't so scary after all, especially with friends like Daisy and Max by his side. Benny discovered the secret to courage wasn't being fearless, it was having friends who believed in you. And so, The forest rang with the happy sounds of friendship and new adventures every single day. Benny the Hare was notoriously known as the most cautious rabbit in the Glimmerwood Meadow. Having spent countless afternoons watching his friends hop bravely from one tall leafy log to another, Benny had never once slept alongside them. His ears twitched nervously every time he watched, but today was going to be different. "I'm going to do it," Benny declared, puffing out his little chest and bouncing from paw to paw. His best friend, Lily the lively squirrel, had been coaching him for weeks. "You'll soar like never before, Benny," she chirped encouragingly. Across the sun-dappled meadow, the log rested, waiting for his little feet to spring from it. Benny's heart fluttered like the wings of 1,000 butterflies. With Lily's words echoing in his floppy ears, and his other friends cheering from the ground below, he summoned all his courage and took a deep breath, just as he had practiced. Deep, deep breath in, and puff out for luck. He ran, his feet pitter-pattered across the soft earth, gaining speed with every step towards the log. But just as he reached the edge, he hesitated and skidded to a halt, his heart pounding like a tiny drum. He looked up at his friends, who were a mix of supportive grins and some surprised gasps. "What if I fall?" Benny asked, his voice trembling softly. Lily scampered down the tree and patted his back reassuringly. "Even if you fall, Benny, I'll be right here to catch you," she promised with a warm smile. Feeling a little braver, Benny shook his head, gathered his thoughts, and looked back at the inviting log. It seemed less daunting now, especially with all of his friends around. He closed his eyes for just a moment and pictured himself gliding through the air. With a determined hop, Benny ran again, this time letting his heart guide him instead of his fears. Reaching the edge, he jumped, his legs sprang forward, and for a glorious moment, Benny felt the thrill of the jump as though he had become as light as a feather. Time slowed as Benny sailed through the air, a little ball of fluff soaring alongside the joyful wind. He touched down on the other side, and the meadow erupted with cheerful applause. Benny had done it. Benny grinned widely, feeling proud and warm inside. He realized, with the support of good friends and a dash of courage, anything was possible, even for a cautious hare. Benny Beaver lived in the woods, where he loved to play along the river's edge with his woodland friends. Benny was a cheerful little creature, always ready for an adventure, and he had the most supportive friends anyone could wish for. One sunny afternoon, Benny and his friends were exploring new parts of the forest. They came across a wide stream. All his friends hopped over it with ease, but when Benny attempted to jump, he didn't quite make it. He splashed back into the water with a big belly flop. Benny climbed out of the stream, dripping wet, looking a little embarrassed. He chuckled nervously. "I'll just stay here and cheer you all on." But his friends, Sammy Squirrel, Piney Porcupine, and Hazel Hare, wouldn't hear of it. "Believe in yourself, Benny," Sammy squeaked, tossing him an acorn for encouragement. "You can do it," chirped Piney, brushing off some stray leaves that had settled on Benny's fur. "Just give it another try, Benny," Hazel added, hopping up and down in excitement. Their cheers made Benny feel a warm glow inside. He remembered all the times his friends had persevered and succeeded. Benny looked at the stream again, determination flickering in his eyes. He took a deep breath, shook off the water droplets, and backed up as far as he could. His heart pounded with hope and anticipation. His friends lined up on the other side, cheering him on. "You can do it, Benny." Benny ran as fast as his short legs would carry him. Leaping from the very edge of the shore, Benny soared through the air. For a moment it felt like he was flying. Time seemed to slow down, and everything else faded away. His friends watched, holding their breaths, as Benny landed squarely on the other side of the stream with the softest thump. They erupted into chants of joy. "He did it! He did it! Benny, you did it!" Benny beamed with pride and relief. His tail flicked happily as he basked in his friends' warm cheers. "I guess all I needed was a bit more faith and a lot of good friends," he said, grinning widely. From that day on, Benny knew that even if he failed once, he could always try again. With a little courage and the belief of his mates, nothing seemed impossible anymore. And so, Benny and his friends gathered for a group hug before continuing their day's adventure, more united than ever. Benny was a cheerful bunny living in a vibrant forest full of colorful flowers and tall, swaying trees. Every day, his friends would gather at the foot of a hill to play games and hop around. But Benny had a secret. He was scared of heights. The thought of jumping, which came so easily to other bunnies, made him feel shaky inside. One sunny morning, Benny watched his friends having the time of their lives, hopping from one hilltop to another like it was the easiest thing in the world. Benny wanted to join them so much, but his legs felt heavy, and he just couldn't bring himself to jump. Seeing Benny's sad face, his best friend, Daisy the squirrel, scampered over and said, "Benny, I know you can do it. Start with little hops, and I'll be right here by your side." Benny looked down at his little feet and took a deep breath. "A little hop? Just a tiny one?" he asked. "Yes, just a tiny one," Daisy chirped, nodding her head with encouragement. So, Benny started. Hop, a tiny jump just above the ground. "I did it," Benny exclaimed, his eyes wide with delight. Every day, Benny practiced jumping a bit higher. He started jumping over little bushes, then over daisies, and slowly, he became more daring. His friends cheered him on, clapped tiny paws, and sometimes even joined the practice sessions. Then came the day when Benny was ready for the big jump, the one from the top of the hill. His friends gathered around, whispering their excitement. The sun was shining, the sky was a beautiful blue, and Benny, determined and vibrant with newfound courage, stood at the hilltop. He took another deep breath, looked at Daisy, and she winked. It was all the assurance he needed. "I can do this," Benny whispered to himself. And with a mighty spring, he leaped into the air, soaring high above the treetops. It felt like he was flying among the birds. When he landed, his friends erupted into cheers. Benny laughed with joy and relief. From that day on, Benny was no longer afraid. He spent his days happily bouncing around with his friends, his courage as vibrant as the forest he loved. Benny had learned that facing your fears a little bit at a time could lead to the happiest of adventures. "I did it," Benny laughs, now enjoying jumping every single day.